Today I wanted to talk about 2026 planning for overcomers. So there's obviously no shortage of, year planning videos, but I have kind of maybe hopefully a slightly different take than a lot of them out there. So what I do is I define the different areas of my life. So if you get a piece of paper or your notes app or something, but you kind of define the different areas of your life. So for me, it would be health and appearance. Sometimes I've separated the two, but I like to not have too many different categories because it just gets overwhelming. But since they're related, I just kind of put them together. So health and appearance, being a mom, being a dog mom, being a partner, wife, special occasions, friends, and family. So a lot of the time, other videos I've seen and stuff have friends and family in separate categories, but for me, it kind of comes down to like special occasions. And, as someone who has had like a dysfunctional family of origin, a lot of my friends are my family, they're my chosen family. So to me, it's like a combined category makes sense. And then house, work, which for me also includes dream, right? So like there's my first career, and then there's my coaching career. And so I have work plus dream, but you might have a dream that's separate from that. So maybe it's like a big move to living in your dream city or a tropical island or something like that, or a vacation or something, whatever it is, if the dream goes with your work, put it there. If the dream works with another category, put it there. Or maybe if it's standalone, if it's something that just kind of like random and different than the rest of your life areas. And then I also have finances and organization. So then what I do is I rate each of those areas on a scale of 1 to 10, for how satisfied I feel in that area. And just like an intuitive thing, it's just a way to have a quantifier so that, because what gets measured gets improved. So once you have this, and month after month or quarter after quarter, you can reevaluate these different areas and see like, oh, I used to feel like a 4 in this area, and now I feel like a 7 or 8 in this area. So you're trying to have it be quantifiable, but not so bogged down the way that people can get bogged down with like, I need X dollars in the bank account, or I need to weigh X amount of pounds or something like that. So it's more about the feeling of that area. So so that kind of leads into like, what is it that you want to accomplish in those areas, and why? The why is always a feeling, right? So it's like, if I want to have X amount in the bank account, it's because I want to feel abundant, or I want to feel secure, or I want to feel rich. I don't know, like whatever. Or if, you want to have a certain health metric, it could be like, I want to feel attractive. I want to feel vibrant. I want to feel, healthy, or sometimes just good enough or something, if you're struggling, in a certain area. So basically, like, think about what you want to accomplish, like that surface level goal. So like, weigh a certain amount, have a certain amount of money, whatever those like, sort of what I call surface level goals. But then underneath that, what is the why? Like, what is the feeling that you want to have? And define those. So, that will help you, and kind of asking yourself, like, what is the vision for each of those things? Like, for things that you rated low, why did you rate them low? For things that you rate high, why are they high? So for example, health and appearance. For me, my vision is I feel vibrant and energetic, that I'm consistent with self-care, and I express my natural essence through my style. For mom, I'm a present mom who is there for my daughter's activities as much as possible or practicable. For a dog mom, we are good dog parents who walk and play with our dogs. Partner, I'm a good partner who communicates my needs and desires and has fun with and supports my husband. For special occasions, friends, and family, I am a good friend and family member who checks in with my friends and family, is supportive when they are in need, and I savor life with them by traveling and celebrating life's milestones. I am also a good friend to myself and ensure relationships feel reciprocal. That's an important one because we've probably, especially overcomers, we have probably all had some relationships that mirror our family of origin, or maybe just don't feel reciprocal in general. Okay, the next one is house. So my house is reasonably clean and organized. I said reasonably because I am not a naturally like most organized person. And I don't have the cleanest house, but my goal, I should also have written this, but my goal is like to have a house that's reasonably guest ready. There's nothing worse than when someone comes to the door and you like are trying to hide the inside of the house with your body so that they don't see the inside because it's a total mess. So trying to not have that. Work. I am pursuing my dream career and am committed to bringing my truest essence to everything I do, even in my daily work, if it's not the dream career. So, if you are someone who's trying to transition from, a first career to a dream career, what is your truest essence as a person? So for me, I've always been a very natural coach. I'm very creative. I am very caring. And my first career has been in the sciences. It's very kind of like objective, less creative. But if I have been withholding my truest essence, like that's on me. Like I can bring that to my work, and it's my responsibility to bring that to the world. And it doesn't have to just be like once I change my job or something like that, it can be, I need to embody it, right? Otherwise I'm the one that's preventing me from being myself. Of course, it depends on your circumstance, but as much as possible, be yourself if you can. Your dream. So again, if your dream is something other than work or whatever area it is, maybe it's expanding your family or taking a certain vacation or getting a different house or something like that. Finances. I make an excellent living and am a great saver, and I'm financially savvy. Organization. I am well organized, which allows me to get to, which allows me to make it all work. So, I used to kind of like really rebel against organization. But really it's when you have a lot of moving pieces in your life, it is crucial, to be well organized. So now let's talk about dedicated actions. So with, the areas that you scored lower on, those should be the areas that you have some dedicated action, at least those, right? For the areas that you're scoring pretty highly on, maybe the goal is just to maintain it. And I forgot to mention that, there's a lot of advice out there that's like, okay, you choose one single goal and that way you can make progress towards that one goal. And I totally get it. I've definitely approached things like that myself in the past. But what I think is interesting to note is that, I've worked a lot with corporate environments. They don't have one goal, right? They have a sales goal, they have an operations goal, they have a quality goal, they have a development goal, etc. So like if it's good enough for a corporate environment, it should be good enough for like a micro, your own personal life. So, maybe you don't plan to expand every single area of your life all at the same time, because we only have so many hours in the day and we need to have some degree of focus. but at least a goal could be like to maintain. So for example, like being a mom, I would rate myself pretty highly in that, because my goal is to be a present mom, and I'm a consultant and a coach, and my life is designed in a way that I can be present for her, certain after school activities and stuff that I, am there for and help out with and stuff. And so that one I would rate pretty highly. So my goal would just be continue to do that as much as possible. Of course, as I'm building my business, there might be times where I'm not able to, be there for every single thing. And, some flexibility there might be required. But in general, my goal is to maintain that. But for the areas that, where I do want to kind of move the needle, you can define what your dedicated action is. So instead of saying, I want to weigh this, in the back of your mind, you know what you want. And Abraham Hicks calls this like it's in escrow, right? So, like the universe knows what the thing is that you're wanting, but I think over focus on it can actually be distracting and discouraging. So what you're trying to do is be like, okay, I'm doing what's in my power to move the needle. Sometimes it doesn't always like math the way that you want it to math, right? So for the health, for example, I always have a health goal, I always have a work goal. So for health, it's like what's in my power is I go to the workout classes, I take a certain number of steps, I track my food, and I go to my doctor's appointments. I am consistent with my self-care, and that I can invest in new clothing, and just practice, if I want to sort of make sure that I'm embodying my style, then that I do that. So it's kind of like, what are those different actions? And then for work, the actions could be like, I take daily action to help overcomers and help overcomers by spreading my message and building clientele. So, it's probably too vague, but like I could, I'm planning to post like multiple videos a week here on YouTube, and take other actions, kind of locally to try to build my coaching business. And so those actions are the things that I can focus on. If I say, oh, I need 50 clients or something like that, or I need to lose X number of pounds or something, it's like that is the result. But what you have control over is the committed daily actions, right? So once you have those actions, kind of do your best to sort of, I don't say forget about the goal, but just sort of like trust that it's in the universe's escrow, and then just focus on the actions. Okay, so when you think about those intentions that you set earlier, right? So for health, I feel vibrant and energetic. I'm consistent with self-care, etc. Circle the most important word in each of those, right? So for me, health and appearance, vibrant is the thing that pops out. For work, it's like dream, right? Like I want, who doesn't want to live the dream, feeling like they're doing what they are put on earth to do, and they're getting paid to do it. Isn't that the dream for everybody? So circle those words, and then when you're kind of daily, when you're trying to manifest these things, it's really about tuning into the word. So like vibrancy, what does that look like? And trying to make sure that you're putting vibrant energy towards your health. For like coaching, for me, it's about meaningful connection, and with also some creativity and some magic, right? So like channeling that vibe, and being that as much as I can throughout the day, every day. So hopefully that makes sense. And so just, you can just write those words like on your mirror or on a post-it or something. And it's just like, okay, vibrant, abundant, like whatever those vibe words are for the year. And that's what you're putting in. And you've organized your daily actions. You've plugged it all into your calendar. You know when you're working out, you know when your blocks of work time are versus your family time, you know, whatever, depends on your goals. So hopefully that helps. The next step is obviously to check in. So we'll be checking in on these, like I'll probably do, you know, some kind of check-in, you know, at least quarterly. I like monthly, because, you know, what you measure improves, and looking at things and kind of having a finite amount of time to take, you know, dedicated action towards it is what helps you move the needle. So, hopefully that helps. If you need any help, please reach out. You can either comment, or you can, if you have some kind of question that you would like to submit anonymously, you know, feel free to email me. My contact is in the description box. And if you would like a one-on-one so that we can like help you define this for yourself, so that you can make this the year where you go from survivor to overcomer, and just live your best year yet, you know, feel free to reach out. Would love to help. My contact is in description. And lastly, if you like this vibe, please like and subscribe. Thanks. Talk to you later.